Peace, love, and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Get This Wisdom Live. I am your host for the evening, Shakti Sterner. I am also the editor in chief of Get This Wisdom magazine. And before we get into tonight's episode with our very special guest, I must provide the disclaimer that I normally provide. As you all know, and for those that don't know, I am a stay at home mother. My children are always with me. They're present now with this interview. So you may or may not hear them in the background. However, I do my best to minimize any noise that may interrupt our guest from speaking. And I think we lost him. No, let's see. One second. No, he's still there. Okay. So tonight we have a very, very special guest on with us. Everybody that I speak to, I have a very profound respect and appreciation for, and this brother definitely falls up under that category as well. He has been supporting me and my endeavors for years now, and he has a very, very powerful mind, and he has his own things going on. And I decided to, reach out to the king and ask him if he would come on tonight's episode to speak with us about his upcoming projects, the things that he has going on, and of course, just to get his insight on a couple of things. So I'm excited that he's here. I'm excited to speak with him. King, can you hear me? Let's see. There he is. Okay, he's
Okay,
back.
there we go.
Okay, great. Awesome. I was wondering what happened there. So,
Man,
for those.
I'm over here trying to. I was trying to cut the the camera, but I don't know what's going on. So you know what, we gonna rock it like this. We just gonna do it like
All righty. Well, I provided a brief introduction of you. However,
this.
if you don't mind, do you mind sharing with the audience tonight a little bit of who you are, what you have done, and what you currently have going on?
Yeah, first and foremost, I definitely appreciate everything you said. I've been following you for years. I think shit, about 5, 6 years. About five,
Really?
6 years. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And you know what really caught my? I'm gonna be honest. Like, let me ask you something. Am I the first person that you ever interviewed from the same high
No,
school?
no, definitely not.
Okay, okay. But that's what
Huh?
caught my attention. That's what caught my attention. I'm like, hey, she went to Mackenzie, so I had to, that's what caught my attention. Then I started, following your videos and stuff. So I'm just like, this is a powerful sister right here. So I definitely got to rock with
Oh, shucks. Don't do that to me. But thank you so much for your uplifting words and
it.
your
Yeah.
high vibration energy. It definitely is. It helps me to keep on going. So
Mhm.
let's get into it. I know we have a book coming up. I know that
Yeah.
you have your own things that you're involved with personally, business
Mhm.
wise, in the community. So let's get into it and share the audience, what the book is about, the title, and how we can move forward from there.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'm King Loso. I'm from Detroit. Born and raised in Detroit. Um, I went to Mackenzie High School, but let's take it back. Let's take it back farther than that. I went to Cook School. I went to Cook School, elementary school over there in Rosedale Park. Then from there, I went to St. Timothy Middle School. It's a private school. Then from there, I went to Benedictine High School my ninth grade year. And from there, I went to Mackenzie from the 10th grade through the 12th. Um, so my journey started in 1997. That's when my journey started. That's when my mind gave birth to the pen in 97. So what ended up happening, Tupac died in 96. Tupac died in 96. And then Biggie died 6 months later. So all this going on. So we trying to figure out, dang, what's going on? Like, is Tupac, is he alive? Is he, all this stuff was going on with Tupac. So it made me research. Like, okay, let me start researching, about this whole Machiavelli thing. So I read about Machiavelli, the Prince, the same book that Tupac was studying, the same guy he was talking about. So that's kind of like the birth of, just getting started with the research on my own. Now, my mother, she's a teacher, Detroit Public Schools. She retired a couple of years ago, but I was always into the books. I was always into the books. I was always just, thinking outside the box. But in '97, that was kind of like when, I started doing things on my own. So, yeah, that's kind of like, how it started for me back in '97. Totally different world at that point, as far as with the research and the knowledge. Um, a lot of things that's accepted now, it wasn't really accepted back then. Um, we talking about a time, and we had pagers, and we had, we had payphones in every corner. So I call that the old world. So it was totally different. Um, so yeah, I started writing fiction, nonfiction. We was I was doing poetry. We was doing a rap thing for a minute, going to the studio, rhyming. Um, just anything to get the message out to the people. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like where I started. Then I started doing other things on the side. Oh, the text message coming through. Yeah, I started doing other things on the side. Just started just supporting other people with their projects. So, I did some ghostwriting. I did some editing. Just helping other people, get their books out. Being a writer in the city of Detroit is different because everybody a rapper, you know what I'm saying? But like being a writer, it's a little bit different. I done had so many people come to me, trying to, they want to put a book out, but once they get started, it's so many distractions because putting a book together is totally different than like putting music together. It's totally different. Like you really got to block out everything. I mean, you really got to sit down and really just turn off all devices. And that's hard for a lot of people to do. It really takes a lot of discipline trying to start a book and actually finish the book. Because a book is not something you finish in a couple of days. I mean, it could take a couple of years if you're really dedicated. So writing a book is definitely not easy. Um, so yeah, I got this book coming out called Hypergraphia. And actually that book I started with the creative process in 2012, actually. So when I started working on it, it wasn't, I didn't think it was going to turn into a book. I just picked up a pen and started writing. Then like after 100 pages, I'm like, you know what, this needs to be a book. So I'm gonna say like the first 30, 40% of the book was written about 2 weeks. It took me about 2 weeks. Um, so I actually wrote it on paper, pen and paper, old school style, pen and paper. So I like, you know what? I'm about to type everything that I wrote, and just I'm gonna turn this into a book. So after I did that, I thought I was finished, but once the mind gets to creating, it never turns off. So I just kept creating and just kept writing. Then what ended up happening, the files got lost. I lost the files in my laptop, and I wasn't able to find it for like another 2 years. So I think around 2017, I ended up finding the files. I went into my laptop and I found the folder, right? Wherever it got bounced to another folder. Then on top of that, there was other things going on in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I like, you know what? I need to finish this book. So this is around 2017, 2018. So by that time, I had a lot of material that I needed to add to the book. So at this point, it's like 180, 190 pages. So I ended up doing like about another 130 pages. So after I did that, it's around 2020 at this point. Then the pandemic hit. So we got hit with the pandemic in 2020. And I like, you know what, uh I'm gonna just touch it up, just kind of put it to the side because I mean the world was crazy in 2020, so I ended up doing like another side project with the book. Um and then when 2021 came around, and then I started touching up the book, so we here in 2023. I'm like, know what, the book is done, it's finished, and it's ready to come out. Um, but it's a literature book. I'm talking about everything. It's definitely outside the box. Um, it's a forward thinking book. Um, if you into thinking outside the box, if you thinking of just um, just something different and being innovative, this is the book for you. It's definitely outside the box. I'm teaching people how to think outside the box. Well, first and foremost, you must master the box. So before you start thinking about, thinking outside the box, you got to learn how to think inside the box first. So once you learn how to think inside the box, master inside the box, then you can start navigating outside the box. You know, so yeah, like so I'm excited. Definitely a lot of work. Um, but this is just the first project that I have. I have a lot of other projects that I'm gonna release. I done did so many. I got so much material in the vaults because, like I say, I started in '97, so I literally have like hundreds and thousands of material in my vault. And the problem was, like in the early 2000s, it really wasn't no market for our people.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, it definitely wasn't a creative market and an outlet, and things have shifted so much within that realm. However, let's pause for a minute and let's go into hypergraphia. Do you mind defining what that is? And my daughter is so excited right now. Forgive me for that. Do you mind defining what hypergraphia is for the audience? Okay. I think that we're having issues with the king right now. I'm sure he'll jump back on with us when he can. So he touched on something that I would like to add on to really quickly, being that I'm also an author myself. This baby gets so excited. I love her to life. Um, being that I'm an author myself, in the city of Detroit, it's definitely, as the brother said, something different. Is everybody and their mama wants to be an author. I mean, a rapper, right? So when you're coming from a different creative space or creative aspect or outlet, you're definitely viewed as something different. So I commend the king for taking on the crusade of black penmanship and black authorship. We need to take back the control of our narrative and our stories, right? Because right now, all of our stories, for the exception of a few, and I'm on the keen to jump back on here any minute now. But for the exception of a few, let's look at a 100% scale. 95% of the stories or narratives, history, if you want to call it that, are written by others outside of ourselves. So when we look at, certain things, even in the schools, right? The public school system, the history, that so-called quote unquote African American history that's being presented to the youth and has been presented to all of us if you've attended public school is completely false. It's falsehood. I mean, they're telling us, pardon me, that our history begins at. Okay, I'm glad you're excited too. Beautiful. Our history begins with slavery, right? That's all we were about. We had no great works before then. We were just slaves brought here to this landmass. When we all know that is lies. It's complete lies, and this is what our children and what we have been presented to and have ingested mentally to think that this is who we are. So we have a natural disconnect from our true selves and our true history, our story, his story, her story, my story, your story. I didn't know anything about Mansa Musa when I was attending public school, right? I knew nothing of certain people that we come from. I knew nothing of the doggone tribe. I knew nothing about Sirius, the Sirius star system. I knew nothing of these things. Peace, see, peace, power, and profit. Thank you, Queen. Thank you. Yeah. So, I was getting to be carried on, but Black authorship, uh, melanated authorship, African authorship is so vital to our story and to the advancement of Africans in America mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because we have other people telling us our story, and they're not even qualified to do so because they were not present for any of our history. They came into the motherland, and by they I mean the European and whomever else you want. We're not gonna go deep into that, but we got the Spanish from the Spain and all that, Portugal. But we're not gonna go into all that. We just gonna speak with the European, right? The European came into the motherland and presented, you know, these deals to our people, and this is how it began. See, if you do your actual history, you know that, okay, yes, some of our own sold us into slavery. That's a fact. And why did that happen? Is because our people were manipulated and presented with false promises and things of that nature, that the motherland would be, benefit and all of those things. That doesn't make it right, but that's what happened. So um they brought us here to depend on our slavery, our labor to build their capitalist society. But when you go into their presentation, let's see. Okay, he's back. Let's see. Can you hear me, King?
Hello.
There you go. There you go. He's back now.
Yeah, this phone. Yeah, this phone, man. So I'm tripping. This phone tripping, man.
It's okay. Glad to have you back. And the
Hmm.
question I asked you before, you had your glitch in the matrix, if you will, um, was to, do you mind presenting to the audience what hypergraphia actually means and what does that look like?
Hypergraphia is if you're a writer and you can't put the pen down, you just keep going and just keep going and just keep going. You just keep writing. You just keep writing and you just keep writing. You just keep writing. You go in insane with the pen. That's hypergraphia. And I giving it to you without the dictionary term of just, I'm putting it that way. Like if you just you have a strong passion with creating well, with the pen, if you're doing literature. Well, any kind of form of writing. Um
Mm,
that's
indeed.
hypergraphia. And I
Black
just
author.
think
Go
hello.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I decided to give it that name, and I came across that word about over 10 years ago. I wrote something called Hypergraphia. I'm like, let me call this book because I had another name for it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna change it and I'm gonna just call it Hypergraphia. And I just like the word. I like how it sounds too. And I never really seen that word just floating around out there. Like, I'm gonna go with Hypergraphia. But in a nutshell, that's what it is. You just keep writing, just and I've always been creative with the pen. So I just felt like that title is a perfect fit for the book.
Definitely. So we're looking at a combination of literatures that span over pretty much a decade long, right?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm very sure that it's going to be very eye-opening, mind-opening, hence our title, and informational. So while you were, off, I started to go into the importance of Black authorship or African authorship and
Mhm.
this society as it pertains to taking back control of our narrative. So,
Mhm.
would you describe on what that looks like for you?
Well, I want to say like I want to talk about this. Since you brought that up, I did some work. I did some mentoring some years ago at Mumford High School, and a lot of our kids, a lot of teenagers, even children, they have so much creativity. Their minds is on a whole nother level, but it's not being utilized. And I just think society is really killing the creative process, um, even with our children, because it just seems like the imagination is being taken away. Like if you take genius, when genius is a baby, it's imagination. And once that imagination develops, you train it, you nurture it, that imagination, it grows into the genius. That child becomes a genius because they can see the world in a whole different way, like the power of the brain. Like you will start to utilize the third eye once you learn how to see. Then you would begin to see the world with three eyes. Your spiritual eye, your mind's eye, whatever you want to call it. But all this starts at when you are in elementary school. When you're a child. But the way the school is, the school system, they don't teach children how to think. They don't teach children how to, like I was saying earlier, how to think outside the box, how to be creative, how to be innovators, how to be a scientist, how to be a mathematician. That's how you change the world, and that's how you get to your people. And we are the original people. So who's more creative than us? But with technology, and these phones and all, it just really kills the creative process. And a lot of that starts in the school system. So it's just like when you take away the imagination, you're doing so much damage. You know what I'm saying? Like you heard you heard the visionary. You heard and I just had this build with somebody not long ago because people they think of the word imagination and they just look at it as fantasy. They just look at it as it's not reality. Everything that's around you is once upon a time it was in somebody's imagination. Imagination is power. Imagination is God. So we gotta remove imagination away from this whole like it's just a fantasy, it's just a cartoon. No, it's not. Imagination is real power. Then that's the baby stage of the genius. Because once you learn how to master your imagination, okay, now you start to become a visionary. Okay, now you can start being innovative. Now you can start, changing the world. So like I was saying, like when I was dealing with A lot of these teenagers, when I was doing the mentorship at Mumford, shout out to Mumford High School, I met so many people, so many teenagers. They're just so brilliant, but the life that they was living, and the things that they was going through at the crib, at the house, it was taking them away from the gift that God gave them. They struggling, what I'm saying, peer pressure, the things that teenagers deal with. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, like their parents wasn't really helping the cause either.
Mm.
So, we really gotta bring back. And even like I remember when I was growing up, I mean, we had cartoons. I mean, I used to love the Muppet Babies. And anybody that remember the Muppet Babies, what was like the theme of every show? It teach kids how to use their imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Every episode is about using the imagination.
Absolutely.
Because once you develop that, now you start to develop your mind's eye. You start to see things, and you start to take your mind on a whole nother level. Because the world looks a whole lot different when you see it with three eyes as compared to two. We start seeing the world with three eyes. Now you become a god. Now you become godlike, and you could start. Now you stepping into the real power.
Mm.
Now you start to really, master, the supreme mathematics, but you must master the basic mathematics first. But yeah, I see a lot of that, man. And even like on social media, I get irritated. It be so many people biting and all that. You don't even have to do that. Some of us biting and stealing, but you don't even have to do that because you are the originator. You are the make. The maker, the owner, the cream of the universe, God of the universe.
Okay, now there you go.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's just this. Hey, you know what it is. This is D Mecca. You know what it is.
absolutely, I love where we're from and the divinity that is in this area. So let's go
Yeah.
deeper into your time mentoring. Shout out to the Messies. I'm a stag, so it is what it is. But I give that shout out to. Um, what was that overall experience like for you? I know you touched bases on some of the children having their own personal things going on outside of school. What was that experience like for you, and what were some of the takeaways from that?
I mean, because even with me, like when I was in first grade, they told me the same thing. They told me the same thing. So they ended up. I got put back a grade, but the thing was, it wasn't that I couldn't learn with everybody else. It just I had a different concept. I was seeing things a little different. But I mean, you got to keep in mind. I mean, this was the '80s. It was the '80s, so it was just so much lack of information at that point. You know what I'm saying? It was so much lack of information. I mean, nobody was talking about the prison pipeline. It was none of that going on. Um, but the way I was seeing things, I had to learn how to break down the science of what I was seeing. Sometimes you could be blessed with so much brain power. It takes a child a little bit longer. Like if a child is a child like a child prodigy, the early stages it's a little different because that child has so much vision and so much power inside of them. It's going to take them a little bit longer to master their brain. They're not dealing with the typical brain of everybody else. This is why, like, when you study the life of a lot of geniuses, them early years, like Einstein, like them early years, like when we thought he was slow, we thought we ain't see this coming. We thought they could. That's because they dealing with a whole nother power that the average person don't understand. So they start to diagnose you with all kinds of stuff that's not even true. But if you got the parent that's going to stick with you and they're gonna work with you, you'll start to see, okay, this child is on a whole nother level. But it takes a different type of training. That's why I'm all for homeschooling, because you can have the type of relationship with your child that they're not going to get in school, in public school. Because at home you can really raise if you got a son, you can really raise him into a god. You can really raise him into a king. He's not going to be raised into a king in public school. He's not, or a
Absolutely,
king.
absolutely not. I agree with you on that one. You know, um, just to add on to what you were speaking on, I went to a Dr. Umar lecture back in about 2014, as y'all say, and he was speaking on little black children, specifically the black male child, uh, receiving all types of improper diagnoses in the public school system. We're looking at ADHD and things of that nature because, you know, those teachers, for most of all, they're not really black teachers, not many of them in the public school system. So we have um, teachers that are not our race, that don't look like us, teaching our babies misinformation, and they don't understand how we take in information or learn or stimulate our brain. So once they're
Mm-hmm.
not able to reach us, then they go ahead and give us these improper diagnoses, which, for the most part have impacted small black children like you were in school, right?
Right.
And then when we look at it on a broader scale, because I homeschool my children, so that connection you were
Okay.
speaking about, that relationship, it's definitely easier for the children to take in information from someone that they recognize.
Mm-hmm. Because the way my mother taught me, I understood it so much easier when I was in school. And the funny thing about it, like when I was in elementary school, my mother, she worked at the school. So I definitely had to be in my best behavior. And this is like from first grade through the sixth. So it was definitely different, like going to school, because everybody else get to, do whatever they do. But I had to have a certain discipline, because my mother, she like right, down the hall. So if I got a bad grade, I couldn't be slick about it. I couldn't, 'cause I know, back then, we had to, we had like the report cards, like you could actually like change up the grade. Like if you had a D, you could make it into a B. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. He say that his mama was at the school, so wouldn't know.
She was at the school. Yeah, like, so I definitely had to have like I said, I had to have a certain discipline. But like going home, I couldn't go outside and play with the other kids until I had to do and it's like in the summertime. So it never stopped with me. And I had to do my schoolwork. Even in summertime, I couldn't go outside and play with the other kids. I couldn't play with my friends until I did my, schoolwork first. So
And
I had to do, I did book reports and everything. And what's crazy, I remember when I was 10, my parents, they bought me an encyclopedia set. And at the time, it was $3,000 for the whole set. 3,000. This is like back in '88. So that was like Google back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, my friends, they used to come over my house like, man, Los got, he got the encyclopedias. So that was like a big deal for me to have those encyclopedias. So I used to just pick up a book and just kind of go through them. Like, okay, this is cool. But the thing with my mother, she made learning fun. Like it didn't feel like a chore. It didn't feel like she was telling me go do the dishes. Like I tell everybody, like there's a book for everybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a brother out here hustling and that. There's a book for you. There's a book for everybody.
I
You know,
agree.
so yeah,
Agree.
there's a book. Yeah, it's a book for everybody. But she made learning fun, so it was nothing for me to pick up a book and read.
Mhm. And that's what, that's what homeschooling looks like. Even if we do utilize the public school system in one aspect or another, either you're, I made a status about this, either you're part-time homeschooling parent or you're a full-time homeschooling parent. So with your mom already being involved in the educational process, it was kind of easy for her to bring that home or keep that home with you. So, your mind was open at a very young age, don't you agree?
Yes, it was. And then just even along the way over the years, I had the opportunity to build with a lot of a lot of master teachers. Um, me think of some Professor James Smalls, Mentu Hotep, Baba Leonard Jeffries, Rosalind Jeffries. Oh yeah, prayers to Leonard Jeffries. I know he's recovering. I know he had an operation a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully, he's recovering pretty well. But so I try to think others. Who else? Cream Mother Nana Ashun Dara, Randy Muhammad, Dr. Kifa. Rest in peace to Dr. Kifa. Um, hey, all kinds of people. Umar York,
Mm.
Sababu Plata, Umar. Uh, yeah, lot of people, that I had the opportunity to build with or even work with over the years. Um, oh yeah, my teacher, Minister Saladin at the Cosmic Church of Christ, and actually that was Dr. Kiefer teacher also. And thing with Dr. Kiefer, she pretty much brought to the city alkaline water, and
Mm.
this was back in 2006, 7. Uh, she actually opened up the water station over there on Woodward, between 6 and 7 mile. But it was such a big deal. I mean, it was all on the radio, and people never heard of alkaline. Like alkaline water is like something new. Like man, alkaline water, And she did so many amazing things. She was able to overcome cancer, and yeah, this is yeah, I miss Dr. Kiefer. But yeah, she was up under but her teacher was Minister Saladin. This is my teacher. Um, and this is about 2012 around there. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I had the opportunity to work and build with a lot of people over the years.
Hmm.
Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, I was able to pick, pick their brains and um,
Ooh.
oh yeah, and of course, 5% brothers and my brothers in the NOI. Um, uh, I even got some Nuwapi and Sabian brothers.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've been around. I've met a lot of people. Even some people in the Panthers on the West Coast. Um, I had the opportunity to go out there a couple of years ago. They had the 50th anniversary of the Black Panther Party out there in Sacramento.
Hmm.
No, actually, it was Oakland. It was Oakland. My bad. It was out there in Oakland.
Mhm.
So I was definitely able to build with a lot of people over the years.
Shaker and a mover. Firstly, supreme peace to the queen, Dr. Kiwa, for changing the face of holistic healing via the alkaline waters here in Detroit. You know, that's something I
Mhm.
didn't know of. So thank you for sharing that information with me. Definitely go support the water station over there. On, I believe it's Woodward between 6 and 7 miles. Get your alkaline water.
Have you ever been there to the water station?
No, I haven't, but I've heard so much about it. I've
Ah,
heard
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. The good and the bad, you know what I'm saying. But I remember the early years when it was so powerful. She transitioned. I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago. Um, but yeah, and they still open. They still open. So yeah, you have a chance. Yeah, definitely stop by and get support.
Of course, definitely. I actually dropped the ball because I'm right here in the city and I haven't made my way over there yet. But you know, in
Hmm.
due time, I'll get that way. Um, and you have had the opportunity to sit at the feet of many powerful educators. So I know your mind is just busting at the seams with information.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like,
Cause you gotta think about it. Like, see, with us, we are the new pioneers. Like the same way we looking at Malcolm, like those that came before us, we gonna be in that spot in 2040. They gonna look back and study what you doing. Like think about it. Like I'm thinking about New York. Out there in New York, you got Sonetter. You got Sonetter Studios. House of Consciousness. You doing the same thing here in Detroit. Like that's your platform. That's what This is what you do. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, had a lot of powerful people come through as well. So yeah, they gonna study us the same way we study those that came before us, and they're gonna look at us as the master teachers and all that. So everything that we're doing is just a stepping stone to make a better tomorrow for the kids, the next generation.
absolutely. And that's why, controlling our narrative is so vital and important because we have so many different uh establishments, if you will, and other races, if you want to call them that, classifications of people that are writing about Africans in America, African people
Mhm.
all over the globe, they're telling us our story when they're not qualified to do so. So people like you are very important to having those accurate archives for the youth, the authors. You're
Mhm.
truly writing our story out. You're writing our history in advance. So I would like to thank you for taking on that crusade and committing yourself to that creative process because as you said, writing one book is different than
It's
writing
not.
it's
It's not
different
easy. I know
than
we live in a microwave. It's like social media kind of made it like that. Like everything is like now, 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 now. It don't work like that. You can't cheat a book. Like there's no cheat code to writing a book. You really got to turn off. Hey, you got to turn off the phone. Cut off You really it's a totally different. You really got to get your mind right when you want to really sit down and write a book. But it's worth it at the end. It's worth it because you could pass down the book through the generations. Like the author is going to transition, but his works is going to live forever.
that part right there. Creating works of that nature makes you immortal. uh,
Yes.
you know what I was listening to you earlier when you said that your mom bought you the set of encyclopedias that cost about 3 grand, right? So
Yes.
in my mind, and I'm gonna put the challenge out there for any black authors. Uh, where is our new set of encyclopedias based off of true African history and African spirituality? Because
Yes. Yes.
those Britannicas are dope. They're vital. I have a set in my house,
Mhm.
but they're not fully accurate either. If you want to be honest with you.
Oh, of course not. Of
So
course not.
maybe you can take that on somewhere down the line of
Yeah.
your writing journey for sure. So for those of us who are tuning in, or we'll tune in later, that are considering taking on being an author or possibly putting together their first literature work, what are some words of advice you can offer those people?
Um, don't overwhelm yourself. Um, and another thing too, I don't believe in like writer's block and all that. You have to train your mind to be. It's no different if you haven't been to the gym in a very long time. Then you go to the gym, and yes, the first day, yeah, you gotta. It's going to be hard, but if you just keep going, it'll get a little bit easier, and you start to train yourself. And it's the same thing with the brain. So don't try to. If you want to write a book, don't worry about every single detail in the beginning stages. Just take your time. Just write down some notes. Um, if you have a Facebook page, just start off writing. Just do a post and just if you want to put out a post every day, that'd be great. What I do like about social media, you can get your message out that way. Like just hop on, just get you a close, get you a group, whatever, and just put out a post, and then you'll build a relationship with the audience, and they get kind of familiar with your works, and then just if you have any kind of thoughts, whatever, just put it in your notes, put it in your phone. So when you start to really get into working on your book, you call it repetition. Now your thoughts and ideas, okay, now you start to open up your mind. Okay, now these ideas start to come to you a little bit easier because you practicing every day. You creating every day. Now you're about to start having some original thoughts because you keep doing the same thing every day. If you just do it for 5, 10 minutes or 20 minutes and just take it from there. Don't get discouraged. I'm saying don't beat up on yourself. Don't try to like my book is 300 pages. It's 300 pages. You're not going to come out. It takes time. Like don't try to overwhelm yourself with trying to how long the book gonna be and all. Like the way I started the book, I had no idea it was gonna be 300 pages. Just take it a page at a time. Like how we say, take it a day at a time. Just take it a page at a time. And then one page is going to become 5 pages, then 10 pages, then 20 pages, then 50, 100. Next thing you know, you got a whole book.
Don't stifle
And
the
then,
process,
and
right?
then, and then too, there's a spiritual aspect as well because if you feel like you have a calling, you're gonna do it anyway. Like if you treat it like just a hobby, you're probably gonna get halfway through it, and you probably not gonna finish. So we got to make the separation between a hobby and a calling. Because if you feel like this is your calling, like you know, you was put here for a reason to put the message out, you're gonna do it at any given cost. So whether it's through writing a book, writing an essay, editorial, um, even like back in the day, like back in the 50s, like writing newspaper articles was like the thing. A lot of authors, well, a lot of writers, they was going to the newspapers and dropping articles. Like how I go on Facebook and do a post, but back then it was newspaper articles. And then later on, that like through the 60s, the message to the black man came out. Then you had like Soul on Ice and all. Then that's when the books really started like hitting people. But before that, it was more so um, newspaper articles. So by the time they came out with the book, people already knew about the material because they was reading the articles. So if you want to do a book, put out posts first. You know what I'm saying? Just do some posts, a real post with your own words. It don't have to be a long post. I don't suggest like doing a long post. Just do something short that somebody can read in 2 or 3 minutes. And if you keep doing that every day, then that'll definitely help, and you'll be able to build an audience. So
I'm glad that you said an authentic post because nowadays, with the whole emergence of AI, I've done some research on it, and they have the potential to use AI to
I
create.
saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
I
crazy
saw that.
because like art imitates life, but life imitates art too. So to see the stuff in the movies just keep coming to play, it keep coming to pass. It's crazy, but you know,
Yeah.
moving right along. So given that you've been writing for a long time and just using that creative threshold to express your works, what are some books that you would say that we all need to have in our library outside of your own?
Ooh, man, you know what? I'm sitting at my desk right now, and this book is sitting right here in front of me. Coleman Young, hard stuff. That's the book I'm reading right now, Coleman Young. So let me see what's at my desk right now. Okay, we got The Evolution of Conscious, The Matrix 4, Cracking the Genetic Code, Sophia Stewart. Shout out to Sophia Stewart too.
Absolutely, absolutely. All hats off to the queen for sure.
Yeah, Blueprint for Black Power, Amos Wilson. Now this book here, it's not an easy read. Let me see. It's about 900 pages. Let me see. Yeah, it's about 900 pages. Um,
It's like a whole thesis.
this
Yeah,
was his last book, Amos Wilson,
yeah,
and he's probably one of the greatest psychologists. I love Amos Wilson. Um, oh yeah, shout out to Sababu. He the guy. Well, he helped put his books together, and I was his friend too. And as soon as he finished with the manuscript for Blueprint for Black Power, he transitioned like the next day, January 1995. So, and then
wow.
it took them another 3 years to actually get the book out, to get it printed and everything. So yeah, but yeah, Blueprint for Black Power. What else I have here? The Science of Mind, the original 1926 edition, and other essential works. Ernest Holmes. So what we got here? Got Blood in My Eye, George Jackson. Um, they need to do a movie on George Jackson. Him and his brother Jonathan. Um, let me see what we got here.
A couple years
Black
ago,
Matter.
George Jackson.
Uh,
I was just saying, I think they did do a movie with George Jackson and his brother. I can't think of the title of it right now, but I watched it
okay.
not too long ago, and it was a good movie.
Oh, I gotta check it out. I didn't even know they did a movie. Yeah, and those brothers right. See, that's what you call real revolutionaries right there.
I
But
agree with you a million percent. Those type of
those the books that I have like sitting on my desk. Um, but as far as like just some of my favorite books, Soul on Ice, Eldridge Cleaver. Um, I'm trying to think. It's so many books. Oh, Doctor Francis Rels, Francis Cress Relsing. Um, the ISIS Papers. That's another one of my favorites. Um, 48 Laws of Power. What else? It's so many books. Um, I'm trying to think. It's so many books I can name. Let me see. Let me think. But yeah, those are the ones I could just think of.
Indeed.
Oh
We can
man,
too.
yeah, it's so many. It's so many books that I can name. But like I
So
said,
nice.
there's a book. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. And the thing with Doctor with Frances Cress Wilson, she was so ahead of her time. She was so ahead of her time.
I agree with you. She's one of the female warriors that I actually idolize.
Hmm.
He's right up there with my queen, my queen Betty Shabazz. I absolutely love her. All praises due. And then we have Shahrazad Ali. So she's right up there with those queens, intellectual,
Yeah,
powerful, and giving us that piece of literature was amazing. So peace to her.
because a lot of things that she was talking about in the ISIS paper is coming to pass as we speak. Even like just the small things like melanin, just that word itself, it wasn't really too popular. Like she was one of the first ones to really bring that word, into the open like that, like the late '60s, early '70s. Because before her, nobody was talking about that melanin, and
Mm,
nobody even saying that word. She was the first.
mm,
She was debating. She was debating somebody, one of those Europeans, and she was talking about melanin, and they just had no idea what she was talking about. So it's just certain things, things like that that just, you could be so far ahead of your time, you know, people, you'll get your flowers later on. That's kind of like the thing when you before your time. People are going to label you, you insane, you crazy, all this stuff. And then it takes the later generations to look back like, no, this person they was ahead of their time, and she was definitely ahead of her time.
absolutely, extremely powerful. So I know that we don't have too much longer with you. I remember your time in
Yeah, I
King
got it.
Loso.
Yeah, yeah. And, we
Indeed.
definitely gotta do this again.
Oh, we can do a part two whenever you want to. We can get that going. But let's go over hyper. Is it Gathia?
Hypergraphia.
Pardon me, slap me in the mouth. Hypergraphia one more time, and when can we expect it released to the public, and how we can support that beautiful piece of
Yes,
literature.
yes, it's gonna be available. I mean, you can hit me up directly, or I'm gonna have it on Amazon too. So you can just go on Amazon and just order it.
Okay,
Um, it's gonna be an ebook available also. So if you just want to download it, me personally, I'm more so hands on. I like hardcover books. Like if you're a real writer, you want to see your work. I mean, you want a book. That's like. But I'm gonna have both. I'm gonna have both available.
indeed,
So if you do a lot of traveling and everything, that it'd be great. But you could just download. Just download the book. Just get the ebook version. But I'm gonna have it available on Amazon, or you can just get at me directly. I'm gonna have a website. I'm gonna have a website up pretty soon. Um, so you can just get at me on Facebook or IG. Facebook is just Carlos Jennings. I don't have King Loso, but I do have a Facebook group, the King Loso class. So if anybody want to just join that, I could get y'all in the group and give more information about upcoming projects and everything. So
And what's your handle on IG, Instagram?
it's the same name, Carlos Jennings.
Awesome, awesome. So there we have it. And I'm going to say, thank you again for dialoguing with me tonight. It's been a long time coming, and I appreciate your time and your mind and everything about you so, so much. Thank you for your support. I'm excited for the book to come out, and I'm just excited for what all you have to come in the future. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, okay?
Oh yeah, I definitely appreciate it. And like I said, we definitely gotta do a part two.
All righty. See, I'm excited. I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah,
And,
it's so
and
much. Yeah, it don't even seem like time is going by so fast. Like 'cause it's a lot of subjects. What I'm saying we can get into. It's so much going on in the world right now. So yeah, we definitely gotta do a part two.
for sure, for sure. And I'm excited. Let's get that together. And with that being said, family, we know it's Sunday. We know that you have to start your week off and all of that beautiful stuff. So again, on behalf of my family to yours, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and stay tuned for our next episode. Until next time, peace, love, and Black power.